Hello there. Today we're talking about how you can write a personal statement which will get you into Oxford and Cambridge or any of the top universities that you're interested in. We're going to be deconstructing the few of the tips that I used to get into all 5 of the universities I applied to, which was Oxford, St Andrews, Durham, UCL, and York. So we're going to be talking about this. Of course, I applied to philosophy and theology. However, if you're interested in kind of applying to any other course, these tips will apply. So we're going to be going over 5 tips which will help you significantly in getting into your top university. So the first thing is what is the personal statement? Understanding what the personal statement is a very important thing, because at the end of the day, if you don't know what they're looking for, you're going to end up in the wrong place. Unlike the Common App, which we'll also be covering later on this free course uni applications, the personal statement is something which is mainly academic. They're looking for how you are as an academic student. They're not really looking at that to say, well, how holistic are you? How much charity work did you do? Don't spend half the essay as a result writing about your charity. It might be really good. You might be a very charitable person, but that is not exactly what the applicants or the admissions officers are looking for. So you want to keep that in mind. The personal statement is there to show your academic rigor. How good are you as a student in your field? And that in your field is very important because, well, if you're applying it to do philosophy and theology, as much as you might want to talk about all your complex med studies and your work experience with a doctor, you will have to find a way to tie that back to philosophy. Otherwise, it will be completely useless.
Or with that being said, I actually have a small secret for you. Actually, every single activity you can possibly do can actually be tied into what you're doing. You just have to be smart and find a way to tie it in, actually. So don't be too worried if everything you've done was to make your mum happy before trying to apply to meds. That's actually all right.
With that quick tip out of the way, let us carry on with the second thing, which is structure. Structure is kind of tied back to, well, why are you applying? It's an academic essay. So as a result, what should you focus on? I will highly recommend you to spend around 80% of the essay talking about your academics, your research, kind of what you've written in the past, what you've worked on, what you've read, and then spend 20% of it working on extracurricular activities, things you've done outside. And of course, if they tie into your course as well, then, well, that is all the better. For example, if I was doing philosophy and theology and I was interested in Wagner, then perhaps you could tie it to Nietzsche contra Wagner or certain other works like that. Now, of course, you don't want to be completely one-sided and monophonic and just have everything, oh, I am only philosophy and nothing else in life. That's probably not the best approach to do it, but nevertheless, you get what I mean. Since it is an academic passage and an academic essay, you want to emphasize your academic strengths. And as a result, you want to have a clear identity in your academics and then also tie it to your extracurricular activities. And if you're thinking about, well, actually, I don't really know what to do with this 80-20% split, start planning. And when you're planning, think, well, actually, I'm going to write 3 paragraphs. 2 paragraphs will be about academics and 1 paragraph will be about extracurricular activities. What I did in my essay was to do that 3-paragraph structure. My first 2 paragraphs, first of them was talking about how I got into philosophy and theology. And in the second paragraph was about what I did, my research, my work, how I wrote a dialogue, my EPQ, how I published a book, how I have a YouTube channel called Philosophy for All. Those are all things I put into my personal statement in my second paragraph. And finally, I talked about my football, my music, and all those other things in my third paragraph. So that's something you want to do. You want to make sure you have a structure. And by planning and having that structure, you will do very well in the future. Now, the third thing you want to do is to include examples of research. You want to be able to show the admissions officer that you actually know what you're talking about. It's way more convincing to talk about books, talk about research papers, talk about things you've written in order to develop your academic interest. And just instead of just saying, well, I like this course, I found these ideas interesting. Well, what did you do when you found those ideas interesting? How did you wrestle with it? Were there any specific books? Were there any specific ideas that you were truly interested in? And you also want to know those books. You can't just write a book and then say, well, actually, I have a book here. I'm just going to blabble on about what the Wikipedia summary was. Actually read the book and actually understand it in depth. And you don't need to raise loads and loads and loads of books in there. Just raise 3 or 4 books there. And even that is quite a lot. I only raised 2 books in my work. Of course, I reference more different writers and ideas, but I really just focus on 2 books and focus on the ideas there. And that really helps your discussion and helps you bring that forward.
Now, quick tip number 2, if you haven't really found those books yet, either go to your teachers or go online and just search top 5 books about your subject, maybe philosophy, top 5 books about philosophy, or top 5 books about history. That can actually be a very, very, very good hit for you.
Now, the fourth tip is don't be too flowery. The reality is a lot of people like to look at the personal statement and say, well, I need to write like Shakespeare. I need to write like Tolkien. I need to add these long, complex words, my Kantian ratio-sonatio polysyllogistica to show off my knowledge about my topic. But that's really, really, really not helpful. And that's really not going to present you in the best way, because everyone out there who knows their worth knows that, well, you don't need to go that crazy with language in order to write a good personal statement. A lot of times, if you're clear, concise, and can present a complex idea in a very simple way, that is often more impressive than the opposite way around, just throwing in loads of things. Everyone can throw in loads of things. Everyone can access the thesaurus and then put the longest syllable a word in there to find the most complex flowery language. That is not needed. You want to be genuine, you want to be simple, and you want to be clear, and that clarity is the most important thing. So make sure you are not too flowery. And the last advice is to be humble. I mean, the fact that you're watching these YouTube videos for advice is something which is very good, but you want to be humble. And what I mean by that is you want to be able to learn from others. If you sign up to my full course, you'll have access to my full personal statement that I wrote, which got me into those universities. And you can check that out in the description below on the website for Logos Education. That will give you access to not only all my tips about applying to UCAS and getting into Oxford and the top universities in the world, that will also give you access to my actual personal statement. I don't read it here just because of personal issues, and I don't think that it is right for me to share all of these things out here just because any odd person can just copy it, and that's definitely something that I don't want to do. Plagiarism is something you definitely don't want to do. But what I'm saying is that you want to be humble by reading, by looking, and by turning to other people's works. Either turn to successful candidates like me, or ask your teachers, ask them to share and give their advice and ideas about your works, and actually be receptive to it. I mean, when I'm in Oxford right now and I write an essay, you can see here, I write loads and loads of comments. I have like 4 or 5 drafts per essay. These are just one of my first drafts. I'm just writing what I need to do, what I need to write, the ideas I need to wrestle with, and things I need to do better. And I'm doing that for every single essay. So be humble. Don't be overprotective. Don't be over defensive with your essay. Actually be open to feedback, open to suggestions, and that's going to help your essay get to the next level. So these are a few ways in which you can write a very good personal statement. I hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, if you want more free content on this channel, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, if you want to reach out and get access to exclusive information, then make sure you sign up to my newsletter, which can be found in the link below. Stay safe, my friends. See you soon. Let me know your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, and I'll see you next one.